Hey, what's up guys? What a race the Qatar Grand Prix was. Well, at least half of it was. The first half was a little boring, but that second half was absolutely redonkadonk. And why was it redonkadonk? We will get to that later. But first, let's talk about Max Verstappen. So at this point, it's no state secret that the guy will just extract 110% from any car he's given. So if he has a good car, like first or second fastest car, he's probably going to win the race, and I think that was the case here too. But more importantly, what does this mean for 2025? Is Red Bull getting their pace back? Have they finally caught back up? And does that mean 2025 isn't going to be a big slobber knocker of a season and Max is just going to run away with it again? It's kind of hard to tell now. I guess we got to see at Abu Dhabi, but this race really put in perspective that if the Red Bull car catches back up, Max is just going to win 2025. Not to say the season won't be a fun watch, but still. And speaking of his rival, Lando once again showed he doesn't really have 100% knowledge or at least 100% awareness of the rules. I mean, there could have been a real fight on their hands had Lando not made that silly mistake. Now, a 10-second drive through, that was a little harsh. And a little bit BS because of the whole situation that was going on at the time. Again, we'll talk about that towards the end. If you don't already know what I'm talking about, 2 words, wing mirror. But on Oscar Piastri's front, he shows he still has a great cool head, and showed he can bounce back after a few bad races. Now, is the raw pace exactly where it needs to be still? Not particularly. But if he can shore that up, I mean, he's got a really long and fruitful career in Formula 1 if he keeps this up. Speaking of a long and fruitful career, Gasly is just on full beast mode, and I'm super excited to see him next season if Alpine keep the current rate of improvement. Because, I mean, this guy just showed massive consistency and pace ever since Alpine has improved, really reminding me of 2021 AlphaTauri. So that is also to say, he hasn't lost it. If he's got the car underneath him, he can be a problem for the midfield. And speaking of a problem for the midfield, even though he probably shouldn't be there, you gotta give some credit to Perez. He was clearly off Max's pace, but he was still racy at least. And it's no state secret he really doesn't like this car anyways. And it's just nice to see at least he hasn't fully given up. Unlike Lewis Hamilton, I mean, God knows where this guy's mindset really is now. I am a little worried for Abu Dhabi. I mean, is he even gonna bother there? And there's been some concerns that the guy might not even show up. It's a little disappointing to see him like this. I mean, come on, he knows he's got the whole world watching him. But also as disappointing, we'll never really know what exactly was going on this season. Were Mercedes really screwing him over? Was Lewis just off the pace and hating the car? Was Lewis intentionally sandbagging to make Mercedes look worse? I don't subscribe to any of those theories, but it's just frustrating knowing I'm never going to really know, you know? As for something we do know for sure, my assessment that Nico Hülkenberg still makes silly mistakes, yeah, he did it again. Now, of course, the race was mostly over for him anyways, but still, he was out of the race because of yet another silly mistake. It's kinda sad to see, especially after a dynamite performance yesterday. But speaking of Haas drivers, Kevin Magnussen never gives up. You gotta respect the grit. I mean, he's on his way out, and he's literally the opposite of Hamilton right now. And it was funny, of course, to see him have beef with at least one more driver before he's gone. That being Alex Albon. Obviously, it's nothing serious, but it was just funny. And come on, let's go, Joe! Yes! Not even by the skin of his teeth. A fatty 4 points, and well deserved for him. Great pace, great racing today. I'm super happy to see him get some points. Fingers crossed for Valtteri to get some too next race. I know he probably wouldn't have gotten points if not for the enormous amount of DNFs, but still, I'm happy. Another nice little surprise is that the Ferrari drivers definitely played nice and kept themselves in the championship run too. A mature run from Leclerc and especially Sainz, but he shouldn't have had to try so hard. That wing mirror situation was a complete joke. Now, if you don't know what happened, Alexander Albon's mirror fell off, and it was like, I don't even know, maybe 4 or 5 laps before there was a safety car. And you know what happened before the safety car came out? Valtteri Bottas runs over the wing mirror, doesn't get a puncture, good for him, but it spreads debris around the track, and you know what happens? It goes on to puncture both Carlos Sainz and Lewis Hamilton. Now again, big ups to Sainz. Holy moly, he put in some work getting P6 after a puncture. But it definitely ruined Lewis's race, and of course was a big reason for him being so defeatist on the radio. And you could argue, I mean, it's partly Lando's fault as well, but it did ruin Lando's race as well, since it was just a double yellow instead of a safety car. And of course his penalty came because he didn't slow down for the yellows, when honestly, it should have been a safety car at that point anyways. It was a complete joke. I mean, I've been watching Formula 1 closely since 2017. I mean, I've been watching it since 2010. In all my years watching, I have never seen a camera pan into a piece of debris on the track and not had the yellow safety car graphic come up on the screen within 30 seconds to a minute. Unreal how long it took that safety car to come out, and unreal it took cars getting damaged to make it happen. Absolutely just silly. I am really disappointed in that. I mean, it spiced the race up, but it was just silly. I can't believe that actually happened. And this season has really been a joke in terms of like safety cars and penalties. Just totally all over the place and just not consistent whatsoever and not fun to watch. It's like they give heavy-handed penalties and wait on safety cars just to increase drama. I mean, I'm really hoping that's not the case. That's kind of how it felt like this season. But then again, them just doing a bad job would make it seem that way, right? So there you go. I don't think it's intentional. I think they've just done a consistently poor job this season. But anyways, Qatar was Qatar. I mean, they definitely need a bigger DRS zone, but I mean, this is a very fun track to watch. It's a lot about strategy, this track, but it's not boring to watch like Monaco. It is a little disappointing how easy it is to defend on turn 1. I mean, it seemed almost impossible to pass there unless you had insane pace, or it was the start or a safety car restart. So hopefully they can improve some ways to make it easier to pass on this track, because it is a really fun one. Everyone seems to like driving this track at least. Even though the racing is kind of just like, oh, here comes George Russell, he's gonna pass. No, he couldn't pass. All right. Oh, here comes George Russell. Oh, he couldn't pass again. Oh. But anyways, that was my reaction to the Qatar Grand Prix. Let me know what you guys saw of this Grand Prix in the comments down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know. The Qatar Grand Prix forever.